I'm going to show you how to build a WordPress website with Elementor in just a few easy steps. First, I'm going to show you how to sign up for web hosting and also how to get your own free .com domain name. Then I'll show you how to install WordPress to your website, which is also for free. Then we're going to be downloading a website template that's also free and is going to save you time and money. After that, I'll show you how to customize your website with a free page builder plugin that is the most popular and easy to use. Then we're going to customize the header and footer of the website. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to make a logo for free as well. Lastly, we will make sure your website looks good on all platforms, whether it be a phone screen, a tablet, or a desktop view. And then you're done. By the end of this video, you're going to have a website up and ready to go. Now, I'm going to leave timestamps down in the description of this video so you can jump around to different parts of this tutorial. If you think I'm talking too fast or too slow, you can just adjust the playback speed of this video to be faster or slower depending on your needs. And as always, you can use the arrow keys to skip forwards or backwards by 5 seconds at any time. Let's get started. To get started building a website, you have to have two things without a doubt. You have to have a domain name, which is the address to your website, and you have to have web hosting, which is where your website will be stored and be accessible to the internet. Now, your domain name is what people are going to enter into the search bar to find your website. So something like yourwebsite.com. And web hosting is just renting space on a server that's connected to the internet. So now that you know what they are, how do you get them? Well, you can shop for hosting providers all day long, and then through your hosting provider, you can get your domain name. But let me go ahead and share you the trouble and share with you my favorite hosting company out of all of them, and that's Hostinger. Hostinger is the web hosting provider that I use for all of my websites, and they're really easy to work with. They've got great customer service, and their tech support is always ready to help you out. Not to mention their pricing is very affordable. Now, I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down in the description so you can follow along with me, or you can go to createaprowebsite.com/hostinger and it'll take you to a page that looks like this. Now, this is where you're going to be able to select which hosting plan you want to use. Now, I always recommend the business plan for just under $4 a month because of all of the wonderful features it has available for you. But you can also opt in for the premium plan if you'd like to save a little bit of money. Also, Hostinger is offering 3 months free for a limited time, so be sure to take advantage of that deal. After you click on Add to Cart, you'll be prompted to choose what period you would like to make your payments. And I'm going to select every 12 months and then move on down to enter my billing information. Notice everything here that you're getting discounted. You have your business web hosting package, which is discounted around $60, which by the way, you're paying for all 12 months up front. You also have daily backups of your website included for free, which means that your website is saved as a backup daily. So just in case something happens to your website, you can always throw it back up. You get a domain name completely for free, which is what we're going to be setting up in just a second. You also get domain privacy protection, which just protects your personal information from telemarketers and solicitors. I'm going to fill out my information and I'll see you guys on the next screen. All right, so once you're done filling out your billing information, you'll be met with this screen right here, and they're going to ask, do you want to create a website or migrate one? And so we're going to create one from scratch for this tutorial. So we'll click on create and then next. And after that, it's going to ask if you want to build a website with WordPress or if you want to use the Hostinger website builder. And I've got tutorials on how to use this one if you want, but for today's tutorial, we're going to be using WordPress to build our website. So I'm going to click on select WordPress and move on. After that, we get to create our login for our WordPress account. And this is also the admin account for your website. So you'll be using this to log into your website pretty often. So just make sure that you write it down. So once you enter in your password, we can go ahead and move on. And next we get to choose what kind of website we want to build. And so you'll see that they have an online store, blog, online business card, portfolio, affiliate marketing, and other. For now, I'm just going to click on other so that it's not trying to fill out any templates for me or anything like that. And I'll click on next. After that, it's going to ask if we want to start with some pre-built templates or if we want to look at some standard themes. I'm going to show you guys how to download a template a little bit later in the video from WordPress, so we're just going to skip this step. After that, it's going to ask, do you want pre-selected plugins for your website? And you can have all of these pre-selected plugins installed on your website, or we can choose to manually install what we want. And so that's what we're going to do, and click on next. And after that, it's asking if you want those 4 again. So I'm just going to uncheck all of them because we're going to download the necessary plugins that we need later in the video. So once you're done with that, we can go ahead and click on next. Well, okay, it looks like we have to click on skip. After that, do you want to generate website content with AI? And that would be perfectly fine if we kind of had an idea of what we're doing, but I'm going to walk you guys through everything step by step. So we're going to build everything from scratch ourselves. So we're going to skip the AI for now and move on. Next, you get to put in what your domain name is going to be for your website. So this is where you get to choose your .com for your website. So for the website I'm building, I'm going to pretend like I'm building a gym, or like I own a gym and so I need a website for it. So I'm calling it my Strength Gym CAPW for createaprowebsite.com. And so once you click here and press enter and you've confirmed that it's available, we can go ahead and click on next to continue. After that, it's going to ask where is your target audience. And so you guys can see United States, and it's Arizona or United States, Massachusetts. And so they're basically doing CDN settings. So basically trying to get your website to load as fast as possible where you target people to show up. And so if I'm in Texas, I probably want my website to be stored as close as possible to Texas. So I'm going to choose Arizona right here. So let's go ahead and click on next. All right, welcome to your website H panel. This is basically the back-end server side of your website, and you'll notice that we're logged into our Hostinger account, and so this is where you can manage things like your databases and how your website is stored and things like that. From here, if you want to enter into your WordPress dashboard so that we can start making changes to your website, you'll just click on this little admin panel button right here, and you'll notice it has the WordPress logo right here, and that's because it's going to take us directly to our WordPress dashboard.
Step number 2 is a WordPress overview. With our domain and web hosting out of the way, we can now focus on building your website. Welcome to your WordPress dashboard. And WordPress, by the way, is just a software that you use to build websites. It's also the most popular system for building websites in the entire world. I think around 43% of all websites on the entire internet use WordPress. So trust me, you're in good hands. Now, WordPress is a content management system, so it basically just helps you manage all of the content that's on your website, like pictures, videos, blog posts, and so on. So over here on the left-hand side is your menu, and this is where you can jump to different parts of your website to manage your assets. You can also go to your blog posts right here, and you can add or remove media on this tab. I'm going to go ahead and just upload all of the pictures I'm going to use right away. You can also view all of the pages that are on your website right here. And then finally, you can view all of the comments that people are leaving on your website right here, whether that be on blog posts or products or whatever you have. After that block, we have all of the settings for your website. Under the Appearance tab, you can add themes to change the look of your website. Then you can go to the Plugins tab and you can see all of the plugins that are installed on your website. After that, you have Users, Tools, and Settings. Luckily, we're not really going to be touching any of these settings, so we can go ahead and move on to step number 3, which is installing a complete website template. Even pro web designers like myself still use website templates to save us time when building websites for clients or for myself. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to have you guys download a free website template to save you probably a couple hours worth of your time in building it from scratch. From your WordPress dashboard, hover your mouse over the Plugins tab and then click on Add New. From here, we can use the search bar in the top right corner to look for a plugin called Starter Templates. After we have activated it, we will now be asked if we want to use the new AI builder or if we just want to browse through their templates, which I'm going to just browse through the templates. Next, select Elementor because that's the drag and drop page builder that we're going to be using. From here, you'll see tons and tons of different templates that are available for you to browse through. Back up at the top, you'll have these categories that you can look through as well. I'm just going to use the search bar and type in Hope and select this template right here. Just a heads up, it doesn't really matter which template you use because you're just going to end up swapping out all of the pictures and text, and we're going to make it look completely different from the template. You're basically just deciding which layout you like the best. After you select your template, it'll ask you to make some changes to it and customize it just a little bit more. You can add your logo right here, which I'm going to go ahead and do because I created it off camera. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to make this logo that I made right here for free later on in the video. Next, it'll ask you for a font combo choice, and then you can play around with that, as well as you can choose a color palette. After that, just make sure all of the boxes are checked except for this one, and then click on Submit and Build My Website. And just like that, congratulations, you've downloaded a complete website template for free. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Navigate back to your WordPress dashboard. From here, you can click on the website name up here in the top left corner, and this will open up your website. You'll see that the website template we downloaded is displaying whenever you actually go to your domain name. Mission accomplished. All right, now it's time to move on to my overview of Elementor so that you have a basic understanding of how to use it. Trust me, it's very beginner friendly. When we downloaded our website template just a moment ago, it also installed all of the demo content, all of the plugins, and all of the themes that we're gonna need in order to have this website up and running. So now we can just open up our website inside of Elementor without even having to download it. And that's because it's already been done for us. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can just open up your website by clicking on your website name in the top left corner, and then you can just click on Edit with Elementor up on top, or you can go to the Pages tab and hover your mouse over the page that you want
want to edit, and then click on Edit with Elementor. Welcome to Elementor. Similar to WordPress, Elementor is probably the most popular page builder in existence right now that you can use completely for free. It's so good that I still use it as a pro web designer, and half the time I don't even need the pro version. The free version works just fine. That's what we're going to be using today. On the left-hand side, you'll see that your menu is where you can make all of the necessary changes that you need when you're editing your website. On the right-hand side of your screen is where you'll see the website preview, where you can see all of the changes that you make live on your website. Whenever you click on this little Rubik's Cube icon right here, you'll be shown all of the widgets that you can throw onto your website. You've got images, videos, text editors, buttons, and so much more. Whenever you click on one of the items in your website that you want to edit, you'll see the settings for it show up on the left-hand side. Now you have 3 different tabs: the Content tab, the Style tab, and the Advanced tab. The Content tab is where you're going to make changes to the content. So if you're changing a heading text or a text editor widget, then you're just going to be adjusting all of the text that appears. If you're editing an image, then the Content tab is where you're literally going to change the picture that's being displayed. It's pretty self-explanatory. The Style tab is where you can change the stylization of whatever you're editing. This is where you can make changes to typography, the color, the size, and so much more. Lastly, you have the Advanced tab, which is where you have a bunch of advanced options. Most of the time, we're not really even going to touch the Advanced tab, except for just adding some margins and padding, which is basically just adding a little bit of spacing between your widgets. Now, down at the bottom left corner, you have the Update button, which is basically your save button. Whenever you click on it, you're going to update your website with all of the changes that you're making right now. Whenever you want to add something to your website, just click on the Rubik's Cube icon and drag it into place directly over your website. If you want to remove it, just right-click on it and then click on Delete. If you want to change the text on your screen, just click on it and then you can type directly on your website. I'm telling you, Elementor is the best page builder out there, and it's so easy to use. Now that you have a basic understanding of Elementor and where everything is, let's go ahead and move on to customizing your website. So today I'm going to pretend that I own a gym, and so I'm going to be building a website for my business. Obviously, whatever your small business is, you're just going to insert pictures of that instead of pictures of a gym. We're going to take this boring looking template and we're going to change it into something a little cooler like this. Let's get started on the hero section first.
So we're going to be starting with the first section on your website, and then we'll just start moving our way down and editing one section at a time. And so each section is basically surrounded by this little pink square, as you can see. It goes all the way around what is called a section right here. You can barely see it, but it's there. If I scroll down to this next one, you'll see that the pink highlight kind of goes all the way around this little spot right here. So you break up your website into sections. So if we scroll up to the top, this one is always called the hero section because it's the first section that's showing on your website. So let's go ahead and start with this one. So the first change that I'm going to make is I'm actually going to right click just out here in the background. I'm going to say edit container. And it's the same thing as hovering my mouse over these 6 dots right here, and you'll see that it says edit container. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically editing the background of this section. And so when I come over here, we've got the content tab, which is now the layout tab, because whenever you edit a container like this, you're basically editing the layout, not the content, because the content is directly for like widgets like this. So if I click on this heading widget, you'll see I have content, and if I click on the button, it's content. So, but you still usually have the same 3 tabs right here: content, style, and advanced tab. So again, we're going to say edit the container, which is like this whole background area. And if we go over to the style tab, we can change the background image. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to click on it so I can choose an image. And if you haven't already uploaded your files from your computer, you just click on this tab right here, and you would click on select files, and then you can install them from your computer, just like this. But remember earlier on from our WordPress dashboard inside of media right here, and you don't have to follow along, I'm just showing you. Remember when I uploaded them all right here? This is my website media library. So on my website, I have some storage, and that's where I put all my pictures. And so that's what I'm looking at right here. You'll see it says media library. You can also go one more tab over to free images, and it connects to a website called Pixabay. And just a heads up, if you go to Pixabay, it's actually a website where you can just get 4.4 million free images. And so you can scroll through here. And so basically what this tab is it's connected to this website. And so they're basically the same pictures. You can use the search bar if you want and get some free images for your website. Oh, that's cool. They've got some AI images in here as well. Anyways, that's how you can get some free images, but I went ahead and already downloaded all of the pictures that I'm going to use for my gym. And then obviously, if you guys don't own a gym and you own some other kind of small business, you would just put pictures of your business. So let's go ahead and decide. I'm going to use this picture right here for the hero section.
And then I can come to the bottom right corner and click on select. And now, as you can see, we have changed the background of our website. Pretty simple. Now, there's actually something a little more special that I want to do to the background rather than just changing the picture. And what I want to do is actually make it a slideshow in the background so it's a bit more dynamic. And that's really easy to do. If you go over here right above the image, you'll see that we have different types of a background. We can do classic, a gradient like this, which is kind of a bad gradient. Let's do something that's a little bit more prominent for you guys to see. Change this one to blue. And so as you can see, you can make a gradient. You can do a video, which would be a YouTube link, and you just put it right here. And then we can also do a slideshow. And so I'm going to be doing a slideshow. So once you choose your slideshow, you just basically pick your images right here. And it's really easy. We go to the media library and I can pick a couple images that I really like. So we could do this picture right here, and then we could choose this one and maybe this one as well. I think those three are good ones, and you'll see they have a little check button right next to them. So that means that I'm using them, and we'll go ahead and create a new gallery. And then this is where it's confirming, hey, these are the three images you chose. You can also rearrange them if you want by dragging and dropping them. And then we can just go to the bottom right corner and click on Insert Gallery. And so now every 5 seconds, you'll see that the background is going to change. But what I also want to do is make it even more dynamic. And I'm going to do the Ken Burns effect right here. And so whenever you click on it, you'll see that it basically slowly zooms in, which is pretty cool. You can also change it to zoom out if you want to, but I'm not going to. Now, the next thing that we can do is also change the duration. So right now it's every 5 seconds because it's in milliseconds, if you see that right there. So 5,000 milliseconds is 5 seconds. You can just basically take the zeros off. I'm going to change it to be every 7 seconds, just so that it takes a little bit longer and it's not changing so fast in the background. Okay, so we're off to a good start. We've got a really good picture in the background. Another thing that we can do is actually go over to the background overlay. Oh, well, first I want to actually change the background size to be cover, which is going to automatically stretch these images to kind of fit the background, which they already were, but I just wanted to double check. So next what we can do is we can decide if we want the position to be center or not, which will just focus on the center of the image, but it looks like they're already optimized to kind of fit the center, so we didn't even need that. All right, so now we can move over to the background overlay, and this is where I'm actually going to add a little bit of more of like a dark bluish black color, and then you can change the opacity right here to be completely that color or none of the color whatsoever. So opaque or transparent. And so I'm going to kind of go for something a little bit more of like a in the middle, so probably like a 50% like this. And that just makes it a lot easier to read your text as opposed to this, where it kind of doesn't really bounce off the background. It kind of blends in, it's hard to read. Whenever you start to add an overlay, it's a little bit easier to read your text. And so I might actually even play with the color a little bit and kind of go a little bit less blue and a little bit more on the black side. So something like this. I think that looks pretty good. And that's just personal preference, of course. Okay, so I think the background is looking fantastic. Now let's go ahead and move on to editing the text as well as the button here. And I might even actually go in here and change this to be almost like 10 seconds instead of just 7. Because it feels like it's just changing so fast. Oh, it went down to... No, that is 10 seconds. Okay, cool. I thought it went down to 1,000, but I guess there's an extra 0 back here, as you can see. Oh, and now I'm changing it. Hang on. There we go. So now every 10 seconds, it's going to change. So it's not as distracting in the background. I do want it to be slightly dynamic, but I also don't want to completely distract people where they're focusing on the pictures and they're not paying attention to what I'm actually offering for my business. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to make some changes to this container. So we actually need to change the text to be full width. So let's go over to the layout tab. And this is where I'm editing this container in the background. And so I'm basically about to make changes to where I want the items inside of this container to be positioned. And so right now I can change my items to be stacked vertically like this, or I could choose them to be in a row. And so now instead of stacking vertically, they stack horizontally, which I still think I want them vertically like this. I can also have them stack backwards. And so now the button is first, as you can see, and I can have them reversed vertically as well. So these are kind of quick rearranging buttons, which is kind of nice. I want them to sequentially move down, and so that's what I'm doing. And then I can justify the content. Right now it's centered. If I choose the top, it's up on top. If I choose the bottom, it's on the bottom. And you guys get the idea. So I'm actually going to come over here to align items, and I'm going to change it to the left-hand side. And so now inside of the containers, it's going to align them to the left. And so I also want them on the very edge of my website. So let's go ahead and change boxed to full width. And so now whenever I choose if I want them in the center or on the side, you'll see that they actually move. And that's because now the container is not putting them inside of a box in the center, it's stretched to the full width. Okay, so all I've been doing right now is just some layout changes so that my text is now going to be thrown over to the left-hand side, just like this. But I also don't want this completely on the edge, because if I'm previewing this, like if I was actually a visitor to the website, it looks weird how the text is like snug up against the side. I kind of want it to be starting right about here, and that's a really easy change to make. By the way, I'm just clicking on this little arrow key right here and it hides the menu. So if I want some space, I can go to the Advanced tab, and I can come over here to padding. And for this container, if I want on the left-hand side to have a little bit of padding, I can just click on left and drag my mouse, and you'll see that I'm basically controlling how much padding I want. You can also enter in an actual value, but I find it easier to just drag like this because you can kind of visually say, right about there I think looks good. And who knows, I would have guessed 164, but as you can see, dragging makes it easier. All right, so now that I've got my text right here, I can go ahead and move on to actually adding some more elements. So the first thing I'm gonna do is change this to be all caps. So let's go over here to the Style tab, and we're gonna change the typography. And we're going to transform the text to be uppercase. And so now it's completely uppercase. And let's change this to the name of the gym that we're building. So I'm going to pretend that the name of my gym is just Strength Gym, because I couldn't think of anything like a play on words. And I was just like, you know what? We're going to create a business, and I'm too lazy to think of something cool. So this is what you get. Okay, so now we're gonna go back into the little pencil icon to edit the typography, which typography is just basically all of your settings for your font. So you've got your font size, you've got your font weight, so I can go down to make it thin if I want to. We're gonna go back to default. You can do decoration, like if you wanna underline, through line, or whatever. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's just like if you're making changes in Microsoft Word or in Notes or something like that. I'm gonna adjust the letter spacing to increase just a little bit, so something like this. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so I think this looks fantastic as my heading text, and you can also see the HTML tag as H1, which is what I wanted. So now what we're gonna do is duplicate this. So I just right click on it and say duplicate right here. This saves me the trouble of having to click on the Rubik's Cube icon, find the heading, and drag it in just like this, right? So I'm going to delete it. So anytime you want to add some more text, you can always just duplicate like this, which I actually am going to duplicate it twice because I want text on top and on the bottom. So now that I have text on the top and on the bottom, I'm going to click on the first text and let's make some changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is change it to H2, which is instantly going to change how my text looks. Or not. Okay, that's fine. Normally in a lot of different templates, it would actually change because they have these set to look different. If it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. We'll leave it at H2. And now we're going to go to the Style tab and change what it actually looks like. Well, first of all, let's just change the text. And remember, you can literally type on screen. You'll see my cursor's now on screen. Or you can just type over here inside of the Content tab. It's basically the same thing. Okay, so power and might is going to be like my little slogan. And so we'll go to the Style tab now. And first of all, we're going to reduce the size significantly. And then we can also change the weight to be something like 400. So it's a little bit thinner because I want it to be kind of like a subtitle, but on top. And then if we really want to, we can also adjust the letter spacing to be a little bit less. It's completely up to you guys, but I think that looks pretty decent. So now actually I'm going to delete this one, and I'm actually going to duplicate this guy right here. And then I'm going to drag from the pencil icon and move him below. There we go. All right, and now we've made a lot of changes. Just to be safe, I'm going to click on Update to save my work. And you'll notice that I try to save my work pretty often so that I don't lose any progress, just in case if my internet goes out or if I accidentally close the tab or something like that. You'd be surprised. It's just a good habit to get into. Okay, so now we can change this subtitle right here to say something a little different. So let's try something like this. So do you want to join our community? And then let's go ahead and put a new widget right here. So I'm going to go over to the Rubik's Cube icon. I'm going to search for an icon list. And you'll see it show up right here. So we'll drag this bad boy in right over the button. And so now let me first change the text color under the Style tab so that you guys can actually see what's happening. So I'm going to go to the Text tab right here, and we'll do the color right here. And so we can just change it to the white. I'm going to click on the default global colors, and I'm going to use my global color palette. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that later on, if I ever want to change all of the colors on my website, oh, it looks like I left an F there somehow. There we go. So the reason that I'm doing the global color is because if I ever want to change all of the colors of my website at the same time, all I have to do is change my global color palette, which is all these colors right here, the theme colors, and then the entire website coloring is going to change. And that's kind of similar to when we were under, and you don't have to follow me, but I just want to show you guys, when we were over here looking at starter templates, and we chose to look at a template. So let's just pick a random one really quickly. This one. When we were playing around with these color palettes right here, as you can see, whenever I click on it, you see how it completely changes all of the colors of the website at the same time? That's because I'm changing the global color palette right here. And so if I were to close out of this tab, And again, you don't have to follow along. I just want to show you guys so you understand what we're editing here. And if I were to actually customize my current website that I'm editing right now, so as you can see, the Strength Gym website that we're editing right now inside of Elementor, if I go over to the global colors, and don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do this later. I'm just kind of showing you visually so you understand what we're doing. This is my global color palette right here. And that's the same thing as when I click on this global color palette, that's these same colors right here. So you'll see light blue, dark blue, black, gray, light blue, dark blue, black, gray, and so on, right? And so if I were to change these colors, the colors on my website are also going to change. So I don't want to do it right. Well, I guess I could. Let me just show you really quickly. I'll copy this color code so I don't lose it. If I were to change this to red, for example, oh, I changed the wrong one. So we're actually using this blue color. So let me Control or Command V. Let's change this color instead. Copy it. And if I were to change it to like red, you'll see that now the button changed to red and I didn't even do anything, right? And so if I scroll on down, I'm sure, yep, there's the red color right here. Here's the red color right here. If I were to change that color instead to yellow, now it's all yellow. See how it's yellow? And then it's yellow. So it's really important to try and use your global colors as much as possible. And I just pasted the same color code so that I didn't lose my color. There we go. So it's really important to try and use these global colors as much as you can so that later on, if you ever want to change the colors of your website, it's super easy. You literally just change one color and the entire website changes. So that's just my recommendation for you. Every once in a while, I'll be stubborn and I'll actually pick a custom color, but it's more important to actually go over here to the global and then use your theme colors. So anyways, so now I've changed the text. Let me also change the icon color really quickly. So I go to icon and we'll choose white. Perfect. So now you can see what I'm doing. So we'll go back to the content tab. So you'll notice that these correspond to these. So if I want the check mark to be second, I can just drag it and now you'll see it's second place. So it's pretty self-explanatory. If you click on it, you'll see I've got the text right here and here's the icon. So it's really easy to make changes to if you want to. So now we're gonna go ahead and change this up a little bit. So let's try the first one to be something like personal training. And then we can click to close it. We'll go to the second one and we can change this to be something like open classes. And then we can change the third one to be membership options. Or it could say anything. I mean, it could say like affordable memberships. Basically, I'm giving them 3 reasons that they might want to join my community. Hey, we've got personal training. We have classes that you can sign up for. And then we also have affordable memberships. And so I just said membership options because, again, this is just an example. I'm not trying to be like a perfect website right now. I'm just trying to give you guys ideas here, right? So I think this looks pretty good. And so from here, what we can do is also change the icon. So I can click on personal training and we might try something like shaking hands. So we might try something like this. And so that's personal training, like you're getting someone working with you. And then maybe for open classes, I don't know, let's try and pick something here. We could look through here and try and pick something that looks like membership classes. I don't know, this looks like a university, so we can just say open classes with a university icon. Probably not the best one, but I'm just trying to do this fast for you guys. And so then we can also do one for membership options. And so maybe we choose like a clipboard where it looks like they're writing down their information or something. I don't know. You'd probably want to be a little bit more intentional on what you pick for your membership or for your icon or whatever. Let's see if they have like a clipboard. Yeah, they have a clipboard. Cool. Membership options. Done. Probably not the best icons. You guys can pick some better ones for whatever you're doing, but you get the idea. You can kind of make this look pretty good. And then we can go over to the style tab and I can change the spacing between, which is kind of nice, which I think is fine at 0, or we could just clear it out. So it's using default. We can go to the icon and change the size to be a little bit bigger. And then we can go to the text and also make the text a little bit bigger. So it's a little easier to see. And then we can actually go back to the list and kind of increase the space now that everything's bigger. So that's an idea like that. Okay, cool. And now we can click on update to save our work. Okay, so now what we can do is we can also change this button. So if we go into Elementor, we can make changes to all of the buttons on our website, or we can just edit one individually. So you'll notice that this button right here looks identical to this button right here, which, you know, these are also the secondary buttons, but this is the primary button on your website. So kind of in the same way of using global colors, you also have a global template for a button. So bear with me, guys. Let's go ahead and see if we can change this without having to touch Elementor. That way, all of the buttons change at the same time. But to be honest, I don't really think you need to change this button very much. Actually, you know what? To save us time, especially because this tutorial is already going to be long, we're not going to do that. I think the buttons work just fine the way they are. You don't really need to change the look of them. Right now, if you change your global colors, the button color is going to change. So there's no reason to try and style it to look any different. So I'm going to leave it. But the one thing that we can do is if you click on the little icon, the little pencil icon right here to edit your button, as you can see, what we can do is we can change the text right here. So instead of get started, maybe we want to say sign up. And then we could also go over to the style tab and we could change the typography to be uppercase if we want to. So something like this. Wow, that looks really aggressive, but we're just gonna leave it for now. All right, so now we can click on update to save our work. I think that looks pretty good. So for a hero section, I think that's looking pretty good for now. We can go ahead and move on to the next section. If you guys obviously want to change anything to look a little different, you can totally do that. But this is just how I chose to make my hero section look. Okay. So now if we scroll on down, the next thing is the 3 services that you can offer. And so you can choose the layout of your website, but I think what I'm gonna do is actually come down here and I'm gonna take this about section and I'm gonna move it up on top. And so there's 2 ways of doing this. First is actually, I'm not even really gonna use this about section. I'm actually gonna kind of build it from scratch. So A, you could just delete it and then I could create a new one up on top. Or if you personally like this about section and you just wanna change the picture to be a picture of you and the text to be, you know, whatever you wanna say, then what you can do is you can click and drag on the 6 dots like this and watch this. I can scroll up and I can change the order of my website by dragging this on top. So now I just switched orders, right? So if you guys want to, let me scroll up here. You guys can drag this one to be up above the services right here, but personally, I'm just gonna delete this real quick by clicking on that little X icon because I'm gonna put my about section up here. So I'm gonna build it from scratch just like this, and I'm gonna choose Flexbox, and I'm gonna choose, let's see, the down, perfect, and we're ready to go. So now that I have my new section here, I can actually drag the services section beneath the little testimonial section right here. So now this looks a little bit better. So the first thing I'm gonna do is change the background color because I don't want it to be blue, I want it to be white. So we'll go to the style tab after you click on the 6 dots right here. We'll choose classic and let's choose our theme color, which is 6 right here. So now our background color is white. And so next what we're gonna do is just add a bunch of stuff into our container right here. So the first thing, you click on the plus button and it's the same thing as clicking on the Rubik's Cube. I'm gonna drag an image in here and then I can go ahead and add a picture. So let's just pick this one. I think this is a good about picture. It's like about me and I'm looking all tough. That's not me, obviously. That's a picture of some random dude, but you know, cool. All right, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and click on the Rubik's Cube icon again and let's drag in a heading text right underneath him. And then we can drag in another one if we want. And then lastly, we can go ahead and drag in some text editors. Actually, let's be a little complicated. Drag in a container like this, and then inside of this container, we can click on the container to make changes, and we'll say we want this one to be row horizontal. And that way, when I put in 2 text editors, well, I put one in and then I duplicate, they're gonna be side by side like this. That's the point, okay. And then now that we have all of our elements in place, I'm gonna go up here and add some padding on the top and bottom. So I'm gonna click on the 6 dots, Advanced tab, unlink the values together, because if they're linked together, and I add, you see how they goes all over the place? I don't want that. We're gonna delete. Unlink the values together, and I'm gonna add to the top, let's just say about that much. So 100, and then we'll do the same to the bottom. Perfect. So now, as you can see, we have our text spaced out from the bottom and we have our picture spaced out from the top. Okay, so now it's time to make some changes. Let's go ahead and edit the text first. And so the first thing that we'll do is we'll change this to say something like about the founder. So about the founder. And so actually I'm gonna delete this bottom one and we'll just duplicate this in a second. I'm gonna go Style tab, Typography, and I'm gonna choose to capitalize each word. And so now it looks like a title. Now we're gonna duplicate it, and I've already duplicated the capitalization, which is kind of nice. That's why I did that, it's just to skip a step. And now we can change this to be the subtitle, and let's just pretend this guy's name is Andre. I don't know how old this dude is. I'm not trying to say he looks older than he is. I just put in a random date. I don't even know what age that makes him. What is it, 2024 right now? So whatever. But let's just say Andre has been in the fitness industry for, or since 1986. Let's maybe say 96, just so he doesn't look so old. My goodness. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make this look like a subtitle by going and adjusting the style size. So we can go ahead and make it look more like a subtitle. So something like this. We can change the weight to be something a little bit less bold. And we could even increase the letter spacing just a little bit if we really wanted to. Something like this, maybe a little smaller. And then what we can do is click on About the Founder right here, go to the Advanced tab, and I'm gonna unlink the values together under Margin and remove Margin from the bottom, which is going to drag my subtext up a little bit. I think that looks a little bit better. For your dummy text right here, you guys can put in whatever you want, but just to make it look a little bit more full, I'm going to put in some text here. There we go. And then, let's see, the width needs to be 50-50. Or actually, we're gonna clear that out. Well, you know what we're gonna do? So Control-Alt, Control-C, Control-Alt, Control-V. There we go. Now it's going to be identical, so it fits perfectly. Okay, so we'll click on Update to save our work just to make sure that everything is saved and ready to go. All right, so I think the About section is looking pretty good. The one last thing that I don't like is how the image is not big enough to kind of stretch to the edges of the text. And so the way you can do that is you just click on the image, and then we can change the size to be full. There we go. Now it looks so much better. Okay, so now I think it looks a lot better for the About section. I think we're pretty much done. So we've got Hero section done, About section is done. And so now we can scroll on down to this little Testimonial section right here. So for my example, I'm not really gonna make too many changes to this. The only thing that I wanna do is just change the background color. So we'll go to the Style tab, click on Global, and from here I'm gonna kind of choose like the darker color like this. And so the only thing I'm going to show you guys how to do is how to make changes to this, but honestly, I wasn't going to make any changes because it's just a testimonial, so it's not like it actually needs to be anything for you guys. Anyways, but how you would change this, obviously, if you had someone who left a testimonial for you, is the first thing you'd want to do is upload a picture of them. And so it's really easy to do. You just upload a file from your computer, right? And so they're just using this picture right here, and you would insert it by clicking on Select. And so that's how you would do it. And then you would change the size from something like large. You could change it down to thumbnail if you wanted, like 150, 150. So nice and small picture. We could click on the text right here. And so first thing I'm going to do is just change the text color because you can't even see it. So something like that. But obviously all this is you just click right here and you can change their name. So if it wasn't Ruth and you had someone named John leave a testimonial for you, you would just put John right here. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then right here, this text, again, you click on it and you can type in whatever they said. So tell your friend, whoever's leaving you a testimonial, hey, send me an email just saying how much you like it and I'll paste it on my website. And then you literally just copy and paste from the email and put it right here. Pretty self-explanatory. But I am going to change the text color again because we made the dark background, so we need light text. And lastly, same thing for the button. Just click on the pencil icon. We'll go over to the Style tab. And we're looking for text color as well as the border color. So text color is black, as you can see, and border color is black. So let's just change it to white. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Click on Update to save your work. And now our testimonial section is a little bit more of like a dark theme, which is kind of like what we're going with for the website. Bunch of dark images. So I figured I'd make this dark. Another thing you could do if you really wanted to, I don't necessarily think I like this bluish gray. So let's see if we have something else. I could do, ooh, that kind of royal dark blue looks good. What other theme colors do I have? Let's see, what's 8? 8's like even darker, my goodness. 9. Ooh, I like 9. That's the desaturated gray I was looking for. I didn't really want to clash light blue with dark blue, so I wanted something that's a little bit less colored. I think that looks the best. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to go with theme color 9. Of course, you guys can go over to that customize tab that I just showed you a second ago. If you really wanted to kind of customize those colors to be something different, you can. But I'm just going to leave it the way it is because it works. So anyways, I like how this looks. So now we can move on to the next section, which is the services section. All right, so for the services section, what I'm going to do is obviously first change the pictures and then also the text. So actually, let's just go top to bottom. We'll change the text first. So this text up here could say something like certified personal trainer based in Oakland, California. Perfect. You want to know how I'm going to fix this because it's caps and not caps? You guessed it. I'm going to be lazy and change the typography to uppercase so I don't have to go and retype all of that in lowercase or uppercase or whatever you want. Nice. So now that's uppercase. And so I'm a certified personal trainer based in Oakland, California. I guess my gym is in California now. That's cool. So next I can change the heading text right here. And so we can change this from problems I can help with. Let's try services I can offer you. And again, I'm being super lazy, typing everything in lowercase and changing it to whatever transformation I want, because later on, if I ever decide to change anything, I don't have to go over here and make sure I'm capitalizing everything. Like, no, all I got to do is just start typing and everything is the same look. So that's why I always do that. I'm trying to future-proof my own website, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I've changed these two. We can move on to the pictures. Again, you guys kind of get the idea of how to use Elementor by now, I'm sure. So we'll click on this one right here, choose the image, and let's just pick something like this one. I think looks pretty good. So we've got, obviously not web design, so let's call this personal training. All right, so we've got personal training. Next, we can click on this one, and what were the services we provide? We've got personal training, open classes, and membership options. So personal training, open classes, and membership options. Okay, there we go. And so for this picture, we'll say open classes. Let's kind of pick a picture that looks like you're in a class. I think this one's pretty good. So it's a picture of her. She looks like she's maybe in one of those, you know, HIT classes or something like that. And then lastly, we'll change this picture as well. And we can choose something like, I don't know what would signify open membership. Let's just do a picture of the gym. Cool. So we've got personal training, open classes, and membership options. And in the future, what I would do is have multiple pages on this website. Obviously, today I'm just showing you how to build a one-page website. But what I would do is make this a multi-page website. And then I would click on this text right here and I would add a link. So let's just, for example, let's obviously pretend it's not YouTube, and let's say that whenever they click on personal training, it takes them to the personal training page on my website. Whenever they click on classes, it'll take them to a page that talks about classes. And then whenever they click on membership, it would take them to a page that has like a pricing table, and it would show off, you know, different membership options I have. But for example, if you add a link like this, and then I were to click on update to save my work, and this little eyeball right here next to update is preview changes, and it's gonna open your website on a new tab so that you can interact with everything. If I go down here and I click on that link, it'll take you to that link. So for example, YouTube. So you guys get the idea. I'm gonna clear that link out and click on update to save. But you would go and build another page in your website, right? And then you would link it to this button right here, which is not really a button, it's text, but you get the idea. Whenever someone wants personal training, they would go to that page, classes, that page, membership options, go to that page. Okay, so my services is done. For now, I'm just showing what I offer. And then at the bottom, we'll have like a contact form where they can get in contact with me, because this is a one-page website, so I don't want to get too complicated. But in the future, you guys would probably want to add more pages, and I would definitely recommend that. And so I think at the very end of the video, I'll probably link to one of my other tutorials, and it's a really short one where I tell you how to add pages to your website. So anyways, now that we're done with the services section, we can move on. All right, so next what we're going to do is add a call to action right here. And so what a call to action is basically you're calling the visitor of your website to do something. So for example, hey, sign up now, join our community now, sign up for classes now, sign up for a membership right now. So that's a call to action. So right here is where you would say something like, want to join our community? And we'll make that uppercase really quickly. And we can reduce the size a little bit if we really want to. So do you want to join our community? Let's go to the style tab on this one and just reduce the size a little bit, so it looks more like a subtitle. There we go. So do you want to join our community? Get in touch today. And so there's the button to get in touch. And so what we'll do is we'll say, edit this background, the container way out here, or click on the 6 dots. And we'll just pick a picture for the background that's gym related. Let's do this one because he's like deadlifting and it looks cool. And then also what I'm going to do is change the attachment to fixed. And so now whenever you scroll, it does this really cool parallax effect. Check that out. So now as they're scrolling through the website, it looks like there's like a 3-dimensional background, and it kind of pans up this guy's body doing deadlifts. So it's like, hey, do you want to join our strength community? Get in touch. And they'd click on it and they would take them to the contact form, right? So that's pretty cool. And so then click on update to save our work. That's pretty much done. You'd want to obviously change this text to say something like, if you're interested in joining, the membership is really affordable. Get in touch with us. You know, say something right there. And then now we can go ahead and add a contact section. So let's just add one from scratch again. And so again, anytime you want to add a section, it's really simple. You just click on the plus button right there, and it opens up like a little tab right here, and you can choose to build one from a template, a starter templates, or you can hit the plus button to build from scratch. We'll choose Flexbox, and we'll do a side-by-side, so I want this one. I basically want it to look like this. So actually, let's click on this one. Duh, might as well have 2 containers ready to go. In the first container, click on the plus button, and I can add an image. So let's go ahead and add an image of like this guy. And then on the right-hand side, we can add our contact form, so search WP Forms in the search bar up on top. There we go. I don't know why it didn't show up the first time because WP, but whatever. Drag in your WP form, which is a widget for your contact form, and then make sure you select your actual contact form, and voila, you have a contact form on your website. Super easy. And then next, let's go ahead and add like a little heading widget as well. So Rubik's Cube icon again, drag a heading widget on top, and we'll say something like, let's sign you up. And again, I messed up my capitalization because I got lazy halfway through. So we'll just uppercase it like that. Kind of similar to how we're doing everything is uppercase, or for the most part, at least. You want to be consistent, by the way. I'm being lazy because I'm just showing you how to use Elementor. But obviously, if I was building this for a client, if one title is all caps, the rest of them have to be all caps. So all caps. I would have to change this one to be all caps, which was a really easy change. Might as well do it really quickly. Uppercase. And then this one, all caps. So if one title's all caps, then you want them all to be uppercase, right?
So let's come back down here. We can change the size of the image. So instead of large, we could do medium. Oh God, never mind. And so another way that we could kind of reduce the size is we actually delete the image, and instead we can edit the container right here and make the background image the same picture. So I can do this, and then obviously set it to focus on the center of the picture. And then we can set the size to be cover, which will stretch the picture. I think that looks so much better because it's kind of cropped to the bottom of the contact form, as opposed to that image, which looked way too big. Okay, so now we can also click on the 6 dots right up here, and we can go over to the style. Let's go to the advanced tab, and we can increase padding on the top and bottom. So unlink the values together, and on the top, we can add, let's say 100, and then on the bottom, 100. Perfect. We can also even add a little bit of padding in between these two. So if I click on this one right here to edit this container, advanced tab, and I could just add a little bit of padding on the left side. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. So there's a little bit of space in between the two. And then we can click on update to save our work. Let me just preview it really quickly because I want to see what it looks like. So I can scroll on down. Yeah, I like how much space is in between there. That looks really good. Okay, so we'll close that. So I think the contact form is done. Now let's finally just add some hours of operation and kind of a map pointing to where my gym is. And I think that'll be enough contact information for people to be able to get in touch if they really wanted to. So in order to do that, we're gonna add another section from scratch. This one can just focus on a downward direction. Click on the plus button, and from here, we can look for Google Maps. And now we have a Google Maps widget we can throw in here. And you see how it's not full width? I want it to be like a banner that's full width. So let's click on the 6 dots, and instead of box, let's change to full width. So now it's gonna stretch it across, which I think looks so much better. And then lastly, we can actually click on the pencil icon right here to edit our Google Maps. And we can change the address to Austin, Texas, because that's where I am right now. But you would obviously want to put in the exact address of wherever your business is, and that's how people would know where your address is. So maybe instead of Austin, Texas, let's just, well, you know what? I don't really want to put in a fake address and go find one. So for now, I'm just going to have it set to Austin, Texas. But if you put in the actual address, you can have a pin show up so people are like, oh, okay, so like right there, I can see is where his gym is. That's probably only 10 minutes from me. So that's kind of an example right there. You can adjust the height of this banner. So all you do is just drag it, and so you can make it a lot taller, as you can see, or a lot shorter. So I think about that size looks good. And then you can also adjust the zoom. So right now it's zoomed out. I can kind of zoom in if I want to. Oops, that zooms out. Okay, so let's go more. So let's go like 13. And now I'm zoomed in even more to the Austin area. Right? Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So now that we have a map and we're pretending that there's a pin on some address that I actually put in here, but I'm just too lazy to go find a fake address. Now we can add the hours of operation and like our email or contact information and stuff like that. Okay, so in order to do that, we can click on the new container button again. And this time I'm gonna choose 4, but I actually only want 3. So I'm gonna click on it so that it puts 4 in there, and then I'll just remove 1. Just like that, super easy. I can also click on my 6 dots right here, and I can justify my content to the center, and that'll fix the problem of why it was off center like that. So we'll just center our content like this. And now we have perfect 3 little boxes to put some information. And so I'll click on the plus button or the Rubik's Cube, whichever one you want. And I can add a heading text, as well as, let's do an icon list. Okay. So we're gonna finish this one, and then I'll just duplicate it 2 more times, all right? So what we're gonna do is change the text first. We'll say location, and let's change the style to, first of all, let's center the text, and let's make the size a lot smaller. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Clear. Okay, well, we're gonna have to choose a color now. So let's choose theme color 3, and we'll change the size to be a little bit smaller. So something like location like this. I think it looks good. And then now we can adjust the line items. So we could say something like, and then this third one I'm just gonna remove just by clicking on the X button right there. And so now all I gotta do is just remove those icons so it looks like I just have text underneath a heading. And so the way I'm gonna do that is just delete the icon. Pretty simple. Just like that. So now it looks like I've got my address under location. And then lastly, if I want, I can do, let's see, alignment is gonna be center. And so now they kind of center up underneath my text, which looks good. Okay, so now let's just duplicate this 2 more times. So actually what I'm gonna do is just duplicate the entire container and delete the one next to it. And then duplicate the entire container and delete the one next to it. Okay, there we go. So now I've got 3, and I'm just going to change the text. Hours, and then this one can be something like contact us. Okay, so the hours, let's go ahead and change these out. Let's do Monday through Friday. Let's just put a dash. Monday through Friday. There we go. And then we'll say this is going to be like 5 to 9 p.m. Wow, that's terrible. Let's say 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Let's go 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. There we go. So our hours are Monday through Friday, 5 to 9. There we go. And then for our contact us, you can obviously put in your contact information. So let's just put in like a fake phone number. And I'll put in, you know, like some kind of a fake email address. Cool. example@email.com. Okay, and so now you guys get the idea of what I was trying to do down here. So after they come down here, they have a get in touch button, which could either take them to a landing page, or you could just have it linked where if they click on it, it just drags them right down here. And so now you've got your contact form right here where they can fill out all of their information and they can sign up. Down below, if they were just looking for information because they wanted to call you, they could just scroll down and they'll be like, oh, okay, so I can contact them at this phone number and they're open right now. And this is where they are. So you have all of the information that you need. Other than that, I just want to change the background color to be white again. I don't know why it keeps using this blue. I mean, I do know why, by the way. If I go to dashboard and customize, you do not have to follow along. Let me just show you what I mean. I know why it's taking this color is if you go over here to the global colors really fast, the site background is using this blue color. So instead, if I really wanted to, I could just change it to use the white color. Super easy. Actually, if you guys want to do that, let me just show you really fast. So from your WordPress dashboard, you go Appearance, and then you click on Customize, and it'll open up this page. And then from here, you would go over to the Global tab, and then Colors. And then under Colors is where you have all these colors. You can just change the site background to use your white color instead. So these are your global colors right here. Change it to white instead of that blue. And so now you'll see that the background is white, this is white, everything is white, so I think it looks good. Cool. So we can close out of that Customize tab and I can go back to Elementor. That's why I like opening things on new tabs so that I can just bounce back and forth. And so the way that we make sure that this changes, you'll notice it's still blue, is because just click on Update to Save and refresh the page. Perfect. So now if we scroll on down, perfect, you'll see it's using a white background. So it looks really good.
All right, I think our website is looking fantastic. Now we're going to work on the header and the footer, and then I'm also going to show you guys how to build a complete logo for free. Let's get started.
So now from inside of Elementor, we can just close out of this tab. Or if you don't have another tab with your dashboard open, what you do is you click on the hamburger icon right here in the top left corner, and then you click on Exit, and it's going to ask, hey, you're exiting, where do you want to go? And you can say your WordPress dashboard. And so now you'll be taken back to your WordPress dashboard. Now, I always recommend opening things on new tabs. So if you open up your website like this, open it on a new tab, and that's by right-clicking on it, and I say open on a new tab, or you can middle mouse button click. The reason I do that is so if I'm editing in Elementor over here, I can just jump right back into my dashboard if I need to do something. So I always like having multiple tabs open. Anyways, now that our website is good to go, we want to work on the header and footer. So from your WordPress dashboard, we'll go over to the Appearance tab and click on Customize, which again, I'm going to move on a new tab. So now what we're going to be editing is this up here, which is your header, and then we're going to edit down below the footer, which is this down here. And then also I'm going to show you guys how I made this logo, and you guys can make it too completely for free. So we'll do that in just a second here. So let's go ahead and focus on your navigation menu first, right here. So normally when you go up to your navigation menu, you click on the About page, and it would take you to a separate page, and this is your About page. And then you go to your Services page, and your contact page, right? And so right now, none of these are customized because we only customize the home page. And if I tried to show you guys how to build a complete website with multiple pages and multiple subpages and all that, it would take way too long. So today I'm just showing you how to build one page website, which has everything on it, right? So they have an About section. Yeah, it's right here. I have a Services section. It's right down here. And then I have a Contact section, which is down below, right? So a one-page website is simple and it's easy for beginners. If you guys want to, you can go and customize each one of these pages. And the way that you do that, let me refresh the page, is you open up your website on a new tab. And normally you would click on Edit with Elementor right here, but this is a perfect example of sometimes your website glitches out a little bit, and so you won't see the Edit with Elementor ribbon up here. And so if you don't see that ribbon up there, you can always go over to your pages, like I was showing you earlier, and you hover over what page you want to edit, like the home page, and you can click on Edit with Elementor right here. So if you want to edit the About page, you would just click on Edit with Elementor right here,
And now, as you can see, I'll be editing the About page. And you guys can do all of the same changes you guys did on the home page here. And then that's the same situation with the Contact page. As you can see, I can make changes to whatever I want. So this is where it's up to you guys. If you want, you can try and edit all of these pages and have them linked up to all of the buttons that you have. So all these buttons and stuff like that. Or you can just make a single page website. And that's what this tutorial is going to be. So for the sake of this tutorial and for the sake of keeping things simple, I'm actually going to delete all these other pages. So under the Pages tab on my WordPress dashboard, I'm going to select the other pages and I'm going to bulk action. I'm going to move them to the trash bin. And so now all I have is one page. Now, again, this is up to you guys. If you want to keep things simple because you're a beginner and just make a single page website, this is what you're going to do. Follow along with me. But if you want to keep all those other pages, you can leave them there and you can go and customize them. It's up to you. But so for this tutorial, we're going to stick to one page. So now I can go ahead and close out of this tab, refresh my customize page. And you'll notice that all of those pages disappeared because they're no longer on my website. So good. Now, in order to edit this, we can either click on the pencil icon right here, and you'll see that it's automatically going to take me to the settings on the left-hand side. Or for y'all's knowledge, I'm going to show you how to get there on your own. So if you want to edit the header, we're going to go to the header builder. And then from here, we have the site title and logo, which the logo is right here. We have the button, which is over here. And then we have the primary menu, which is right here, or it used to be, right? You also have a visual representation down below. So you have the logo over here on the left, and it's on the left. You've got the menu right here on the left-hand side of the button, but it's on the right-hand side of the screen. And then you have the button, which is on the right-hand side of the menu. And so, for example, if I were to move the button to this middle spot, now you'll see that the button's in the middle. So this is a visual representation of what you're editing up on top. So first I'm going to show you guys how to customize this button right here, which has a phone number on it. If you guys want to leave this as the company phone number for your gym, then all you would have to do is click on the button right here, and you can literally change the text right here. So it's 202-555-7890. You guys could change this to say something different, and then the link is just telephone number, and then here's your phone number. So just put in your actual phone number right here, and then when people click on it, it'll try to actually call, right? So that's how the button works. I'm not gonna make a change to it because I think it's fine. I'm just gonna show you guys how to add your navigation menu right here, but now you know how to change the text if you want to. You could also have this link somewhere else. So for example, you could have this link to a contact page, put the URL of your contact page right here, and then you could just say the words contact right here, and then it'll just say contact, and you could click on it and it'll take you to your contact page. But as you can see right now, it's asking when I click on it, do you want to FaceTime this website? Because there's a phone number behind the button, as you can see. So it's trying to basically FaceTime this phone number. So that's how you guys can put in your own phone number right here if you want. Anyways, let me show you guys how to make changes to your navigation menu. You would think that you would click on primary menu, but you'll notice that it's not right here. You have to configure the menu over here, which is going to take you to a completely different place. Let me show you how to get there. So instead of the header builder, we'll go down to menus, and then we'll view the main menu. And you'll notice that they're all invalid because we don't have those pages anymore. So if you click on plus, add items, you'll see a little X appears, and now you can just delete them quickly. Otherwise, you would have to click on it and then click on remove. And then you click on the next one and then click on remove. So I always like just opening this up and then you just click on the X button right here. So we have the home page, which takes you to the front page of the website. Now we're gonna add custom links that link you to different portions of the website. So let me show you what I mean. We're gonna put an anchor right here called #about. And then whenever you click on the button up here that says about, I want it to drag your screen down to the about section, okay? So the way that we do that is first we just have to put the title about. That's what's gonna display. And then we actually have to put the URL behind what displays. And the URL is going to be #about, add to menu. All right, so now you see we have home and about right there. So let's go and do the same thing for the next one, which is the services section. And then we would do #services, add to menu. And then next we're gonna do, what's the next one, contact? Yeah, contact. Oh, it has to be all caps because the rest of them are. And then we would say #contact, add to menu. Click on publish in the top right corner to save your work and publish it live on the internet. And you're done. Now your navigation menu is displaying, but when you click on it, nothing happens, as you can see, except for the home button because that's actually linked to a page. Okay, so in order to make that work, we have to jump back inside of Elementor. So from your WordPress dashboard, normally you would just open up your website and then click on Edit with Elementor right here. Oh, now it's showing for some reason. As you can see, sometimes it just glitches out. It's whatever. I'm gonna click on Edit with Elementor right here. And again, that's because from the dashboard, I click on my website and then you just click on Edit with Elementor right here. Okay, so now that you're inside of Elementor again, and notice how I have my tabs open so I can jump back and forth. Now that you're in Elementor, we have to label with an anchor. We have to tell the computer that this is your About section, right? So the way we do that is just edit with the 6 dots right here. Go to the Advanced tab, and you're gonna add a CSS ID, which is basically an anchor, and just call this the About, just like that. So now you'll notice that up in the navigation menu up here on the top, we put in hashtag about, and that's because that hashtag is gonna search your website for an anchor, which this is the anchor about. So whatever you put in front of the hashtag is what's calling on this CSS ID, okay? In the most simple way that I can say. So now that we have this one as about, click on update. We'll do that for the rest of them. So for the services section, click on the 6 dots, Advanced tab, services, all lowercase, and then lastly, contact right here. Advanced tab, CSS ID, contact. Update. Okay, so now if I click on the preview changes button, which opens up my website on a new tab, now whenever I click on hashtag about, you'll see it drags me to the about section. If I click on services, it drags me straight to services. And if I click on contact, it's gonna throw me straight to the contact form. Pretty neat, right? I think that looks really cool. So now, also actually, let me show you again. So now we're back on Elementor. I'm just gonna close out of this tab, and I'm gonna open up my website on a new tab, right? So now pay attention to the hyperlink while I make my clicks, okay? You'll notice that when I click on the About button, oh, interesting, it's not doing it. What it's gonna do is it normally would put like a hashtag about right behind it. So if I do this, hashtag about, it's gonna take me to that CSS ID. And so if I go hashtag services, it's gonna take me straight to the services button. It looks like that's a new update where it doesn't actually show what you click on, which is kind of cool. But what basically this button is doing is when you click on it, it's taking you to strengthgymcapw.com/hashtag about. And then it would take you to the About section. That's basically what your browser is doing, and that's what the custom link is. So I'm just explaining it to you so you have a better understanding of what it's doing. And that's why when I type in the URL, you know, hashtag about, like this, it'll take you straight to the About section. So that's what's happening. But it looks like it's not even showing that, which is kind of cool. So now when you click on About, it just goes down. So used to be it would actually show the hashtag About when you click on it. Okay, so now your navigation menu is done. So let's go ahead and focus on the logo. So now I'm going to show you guys how to build a logo completely for free. And the way you do that is you open a new tab and you go to a website called logomaker.com, but without the E, so Logo Maker, like this. And so now you can either choose from one of their templates or click on Start My Design. I'm gonna actually pick a template, save myself some time. And the one that I actually chose is this one. You'll probably think it looks pretty similar to this one right here. So when you click on it, now it's really easy because the template did most of the work for me, and now I just gotta change the icon in the text rather than building it from scratch. So the first thing I'm gonna do, let's close out of that tab, is I need to pick the dumbbell. So let me walk you through Logo Maker really quickly. Top left corner is where you can search from over 3 million graphics. So I'm gonna click on Back to Canvas. The left-hand side is where you have basic functions like text, triangles, pencil, paint bucket. And then on the right-hand side is where you can change the color, the saturation, and everything of whatever object you're editing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is delete this icon. So you click on it, and I'm just gonna click on delete. Let's go ahead and add a dumbbell. And I can't remember exactly which one I used. So this one's kind of like this, and it's got a flat side. So it's kind of similar to this one. I think I scrolled through for a while and found one, and it's probably really far down, and I don't wanna try and go find it. So for now, we're just gonna pick one. And I think, you know what? Let's just go with this one. It's not exactly what I have on mine, but it's because I just kept scrolling for a really long time. So you get what you get. All right, so now I'm gonna use the corner to drag it and make it a little bit bigger. So now it'll kind of stretch across my text like that. And that's basically what I did for this one, as you can see. So now we can change the color of this icon here. Okay, the reason you can't grab your icon is because the square is in front of it. Click on the clip art right here, as you can see, and now I've selected it. And now I can drag it around, right? Center it up. If I come over here, I can change the color. As you can see, I can desaturate it, and then I can also change the color, right? But that's one color. You'll notice that mine is a gradient from red to blue. And so if you want to do that, you can just click on a linear gradient right here. And now you'll see that it's 2 colors right here. And so I can drag this over, and I'll change this one to like a red color. And then I'll change this one to like a blue color. It's literally that easy. Done. Oops. If you accidentally click, you can just drag it away, and now it's no longer there. But that's for like if you want to add a third color, so like green, and so now it goes red, green, blue. But we'll take that out. Okay, so now all we got to do is change the text. So let's click on it, and we'll type something else. There we go. So strength gym. And so I think that looks good. We can kind of increase the size if we really, really want to. Here, let's see if we can increase the weight.
Line width, letter spacing, word spacing fixed. Nope. Okay, so we would have to change the font. So I'm going to hit Control or Command Z. Wow, stuff is really glitching out right now. I did not change you to be something like that. I just had you as a solid color. There we go. Okay, so the way I did that was I just clicked on the square that's back here. It's just a square, that's all it is. And I just changed it to black so you can see what we're working on. Because if it was like white, you see how you can't see the text? So I just made it black. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the text again because everything's glitching right now for some reason. Or I don't even think I included gym. I think I just said strength, right? Yeah, it just says strength. And then power and might is the slogan. So let's change the slogan right here. Cool. And that's how I made my logo. It was so easy, right? And so now finally, if I save this, it's gonna save the black square behind it. So it was nice to have it so I know what I was doing, but now I need to delete the square. So I'm just gonna click on the square and then hit the delete button. I know you can't see it, but the text is still here, so don't worry. But you need to leave it white so that on a dark background, you can see the white text. So now that my logo's done, I'm gonna go over to the top right corner and click on Save Logo, and it's gonna load for a second. And then if you click on this button, it's gonna open a new tab and say, hey, give me your money. Don't do it. You don't have to pay $29 or $60. I just told you it's free, and it is. This is for the high resolution file, so you're getting a large file. We're gonna download the low resolution file completely for free. So skip this button, go right here, it says download low resolution PNG file, and then you just have to accept the terms, enter your email, and it's gonna send it to your email. So click on, so this is my email, create a pro portfolio. We're gonna hit send email. Boom, completely for free. I just downloaded my low resolution file and you'll see it was for free. So now we can close out of this tab because we don't really need it anymore. Well, actually, let me show you guys how to make a favicon as well. So this is called a favicon right here. Same thing with this little globe icon. You'll notice that yours has the default globe icon because we haven't actually created a special one. If I were to go to YouTube, you'll see that YouTube has its own favicon as well. Let me show you how to make that right now. We're gonna delete the text. So I'm gonna highlight both of my text and just hit delete. So now there's just the dumbbell. And we're gonna save this one more time. So let's click on Save Logo, download the low resolution file, put in my email, send. All right, so now that we're done, we can close out of this tab because we don't need it anymore. Next, what you can do is go over to your email and you'll see that I have 2 emails from Logo Maker, and this is where I can download my file for free. So if I hit download, you'll see that I just downloaded my logo. And so there it is right there. So I can do the same thing one more time, and I can download down below here, which is the second email. This is my favicon. And so now you see it's the favicon. Perfect. Okay, close out of your email. Now we're back on your website. So now, if you want to add your logo, you'll go over to the header builder, and then you go to site title and logo. And so now my logo's already there because remember when we downloaded the template, I installed it automatically. This is where you're gonna finally put it. So you would hit change logo, and you would upload the file from your computer. And so I'm actually gonna upload the favicon because I don't already have it, just so that it's there and ready to go, but I'm still gonna use my logo. So you'd click on select, you can skip the cropping if you want, and so now your logo is gonna display. Done. So now if you want your favicon to display, just scroll down a little bit and it's at the very bottom right here. Click on it, and now you're going to select your site icon. It's gonna ask if you wanna crop, and right now it's making my icon really small, so I actually am gonna see if I can crop. Can I? Nope, it's not gonna let me. All right, so that's about as big as I get it. So I can actually skip cropping and we'll see if it makes it bigger. But here's an example of what it's gonna look like as you can see. So let's say skip cropping, and boom. As you can see, it's a low resolution file, so it's really small. But you guys get the idea. That's how you can upload your own favicon if you want. So anyways, maybe on Logo Maker, you would just make it bigger and then download it. I just downloaded one that was absolutely tiny. So that's why it looks really small. Okay, so once you're done with your site logo and your favicon, publish it to make it live. Okay, so now we can go ahead and move on to the footer of the website. And so the footer, we just click on footer builder right here and it's automatically gonna throw us to the very bottom. So obviously the first thing we wanna do is change the logo. And if we look at our visual representation, we see that HTML is the logo. This right here is the copyright, and this right here is a footer menu. And so you'll see them over here as well. I wanted to explain that because if you're like, whoa, what's HTML1? What does that mean? Why doesn't it just say site title and logo? Well, it's a little different for the footer, so that's why. So if you click on HTML1, you'll see it's a picture. So then you just click on the picture and hit remove. And now with that gone, we can go ahead and click on the plus button and we can add our own logo. And so I'm just gonna put the site favicon right here. And voila, you'll see it'll pop up in the bottom right here. Perfect. So now we've got our logo centered. Next, we can edit the copyright. You just click on it. And as you can see, it takes you to the copyright. And so now instead of Hope Starter Design, you could say something like Strength Gym, right? 2024 Strength Gym, publish. And then over here on the left-hand side, we have our footer menu, which is automatically pulling from the navigation menu, which is way up on top. So this same menu up here is the same menu down below. So we actually don't have to make any changes to it because now whenever you click on services and contact, it all works. So there's really no reason to change that. So now we're actually done. That was really fast, but the footer was super easy to change. You just change the picture and the copyright. Perfect. And whenever you're done, just make sure you hit publish, and then we can close out of that tab and go back to the WordPress dashboard.
Our final step to complete this website is double checking the mobile responsiveness of our site. Now, we just created our website on a desktop view, but what happens if you look at this website on your cell phone? We just created it inside of a horizontal rectangle view, but a cell phone is more of a vertical rectangle view. And what about a tablet, which is basically the same as a laptop screen? It's a little bit smaller than a desktop view. It's not necessarily a vertical rectangle, but it's definitely a lot more narrow than it's supposed to be on a desktop view. You need to make sure that your website looks good on all modes of viewing. In order to do that, we can hop back into Elementor.
So inside of Elementor, if we want to change the mobile responsive mode of our website, we would go over here to the left-hand side, and we're going to see the bottom left corner right next to preview changes. You'll see responsive mode. You're going to click on it, and then you'll see a banner appear on the top right up here. And so now we have desktop, tablet, and mobile. So if I go from desktop to tablet, you'll see that this looks more of like a laptop screen or a tablet. And then if I go from tablet to mobile, you'll see that now my website looks like I'm viewing it on a mobile screen. So for desktop view, everything looks good, right? But if I switch over to tablet view, you'll see that my hero section looks crazy and wonky. So we're gonna have to make some changes. My about section looks perfectly fine. I just might want to add some spacing on the sides. Testimonial looks good, and services looks fantastic. We might want to adjust the text here. Contact looks just fine, and so does this. So let's make those changes now. By the way, let me click on this widget right here. Anytime you're about to make a change to an object on your website, you'll notice that right here I've got a little tablet icon right here, or if I'm on the desktop view, you'll see that it says the desktop view right here. Anytime you have this icon right here, it means that whatever changes you make on this viewing mode will not affect the other viewing modes, okay? So for example, if we're on the tablet view and I make this text super small, because this is the subtitle text. So if I go to the style tab, and let's just say actually I make it massive like this, and then I go back over to desktop view, you'll notice it did not change the desktop view. And that's because this size has the little icon right next to it that says that this is different for all three modes. So if I go back to tablet view, you'll see that it's massive. So let's go ahead and shrink that down and make it some subtitle text. So something like this. Strength Gym is supposed to be my H1 massive text. So we can go to the Style tab, Typography, and we can increase the size of this one if we want to. And then Power and Might, we kind of want it to be basically the same size as this. So if you want, you can just right click and say copy. And then we can right click and say paste style. And you'll see that it's going to copy the same style, the sizing basically. Next, we need to shrink these down a little bit because they're a little too big for the tablet view. So we go to style and we go to icon, and you'll see that the size of the icon is also individual for different viewing modes. So we can reduce the size. We can go to the text size, which is also limited. So we'll shrink that down a little bit. And then we can go to the list, and the space between is also individual from all other viewing modes. So we can go ahead and remove the gap entirely. Oops, let's actually go down to 0. Perfect. Okay, so everything looks good. I could use a little bit more spacing between the bottom and the top text. So if I really wanted to, I could edit this container, the 6 dots, go to the Advanced tab. And again, the padding is different than the desktop version. So on the left, I might want a little bit more spacing. On the bottom, I might want a little bit more as well. So something like this. And I think that looks pretty good. And then on top, I've got 70. So maybe I shrink the 70 to about 45, and now it's a little bit more centered. So now on a laptop, you know, everything looks like it's sized correctly. Scroll on down and we have the About section. And so I think what I might do is add just a little bit of padding. So if I go to my 6 dots here, Advanced tab, it's different than the desktop view, right? So if I adjust the top and bottom, it's not going to change the desktop view. So let's go ahead, and you'll notice the second you try to make a change, it instantly flips. So let's just delete that really quickly. We'll leave the values not linked. So let's do this. Actually, it looks better when they're all linked on the mobile view or on the laptop view. So I think I'm going to leave that, and let's just go to 25. Perfect. I think that looks so much better. So now on a laptop, you scroll on down and that's what you see. So much better. We could also adjust the text size right here to be a little bit more of like a subtitle size. So again, you click on it, Style tab. We can just reduce the size a little bit. Easy peasy. And again, if I were to switch to desktop view, none of the changes I'm making, as you can see, is adjusting the desktop view. Everything still looks good. So That's good to know. We'll go back to tablet. Services looks fantastic. We don't need to make changes. I'm gonna shrink the text down a little bit on this section right here. So we'll kind of reduce it a little bit. I think that looks so much better. And then we'll scroll on down a little bit more. Contact section looks good, and so does the information of our business. Now, one thing that I might change is this looks a little bit taller on the tablet view, and you'll notice that the height is an individual change, so it's not affecting everything else. So I might shrink it a little bit, just like that. So now that I've made my changes to the tablet view, I can go ahead and click on Update to save my work. And then let's move over to the mobile view, which looks so much worse. Actually, not that bad. So let's go ahead and make changes to our mobile view. First of all, let's change the text sizes again, which again are individual to the mode that you're working on. So we'll make this a little bit more of like a 20, I guess. This one can be a little bit bigger, depending on what look you're going for. Again, this is all personal preference. And then I'll just copy this one and paste the style. And then we're also going to change it from centered to be aligned to the left. There we go. We could also shrink this down even more and make it one line if we really wanted to. So we could do this if we really wanted to. You see how I went down just by 2 and it made it stretch in there? So that's pretty cool. Again, it's all just personal preference, but if you like how that looks, then we're good. So now I think everything else looks perfectly fine in terms of sizing. So from here, I'm going to scroll on down and go to the About section. Let's try shrinking the text to see if it makes it look a little bit less congested right here. So let's adjust the size a little bit, maybe say About the Founder all in one line. And then we can shrink the size of this subtext as well. So something like this. And then also on the mobile view, this looks a little too close. So I can actually adjust that margin that I did. If you guys remember on the desktop view, we'll go to the Advanced tab. And you remember how I added -26? Well, I might be able to go, let's go ahead and zero it out real quick. Unlink the values. And on the bottom, we'll just remove a little bit less. So instead of -26, we'll just say, what is it? -14. So it's a little bit better. And again, this is not making any changes to the other versions, as you can see. Okay, so the About section looks good. Testimonial looks good. Services looks perfect. And we can see that we stacked all 3 of them. So that's good. And then we have our call to action, which looks a little wonky. So let's just adjust the size again. Something like this. I think it looks a little bit better. Scroll on down a little more. So it looked like for the contact form, it just stacked our image on top of our contact form. So first of all, we can go ahead and finally adjust. Remember I added a little bit of space in between these two? Well, now it's showing up on the left and it just kind of has it askew. So I just click on the container right here, and under the Advanced tab, you'll see that the padding is still 29 on the left. Well, now we can just zero that out and you'll see that it kind of fits perfectly now. If you want to add a little bit of padding, you can. So if we want to add a little padding on all sides so that it looks like it's not touching the edges, as you can see. And then we'll adjust the text right here. So we can change the style, typography, and we can reduce the size a little bit. So much better. And then if we want to, we can just increase the size of this guy right here. So if we want, we could do minimum height is not going to adjust the other viewing modes. So under mobile, I could actually adjust the height and still have the picture visible. But then on the desktop view, it still didn't change how big the picture is, as you can see. I think that looks a lot better. And then finally, we have our maps, and then all 3 of our informations or little segments right here stacked. So I think everything looks good. And then we have the footer as well. Now there's one last final thing that I forgot to tell you about, and it has to do with our mobile responsiveness. So let's click on Update to save our work. So our website looks good on all mobile responsive modes. We've got laptop, desktop, and mobile. But what about our header menu? If we go over here to customize one last time, we can also do the same thing. We've got our mobile responsive modes down here in the bottom left corner of our screen. You see this down here? So we're on desktop. We can go to the tablet view. And as you can see, our menu isn't there anymore. We have this little toggle button that shows you our menu, right? And then also the same thing for the mobile. We have this little hamburger icon, right? So the way that you can edit this, by the way, is you go over to the header builder and you'll see that we have, where is it? The off canvas menu. It's right down here in the bottom left corner. You'll see that on our off canvas menu, you can click on the settings button and you can choose kind of some settings here. You can also pick the design. I'm not really going to make any changes because it works perfectly fine the way it is for your template. So for your website, it'll still be colored the same as all of your buttons. But you'll see that right here, you can add different icons. So as well, if you really wanted to, we could add a widget if we really wanted to, just as an example. And then inside of this widget, just as an example, you don't have to follow along. I could put an image, then I could upload our logo. And then every time you open up the menu, you have our logo down here as well. You guys can get kind of creative with what's on your off-canvas menu. But for now, let's keep it simple, okay? We're not gonna add anything. All you need to make sure is that your primary menu is also inside of your off-canvas right here. And that's only for your tablet and your mobile, because you'll notice when I go to desktop, that disappears. It's no longer there because you have the full menu. So if we go to the laptop screen or the tablet screen, you'll see that now we have our menu, which let's double check it works. If I click on About, yep, it's gonna move me. Good. And Contact. Perfect. So it works, and you can do the same thing to double check for your mobile view, but it's going to, so we're good to go. So I just wanted to double check that this was linked up, because on some templates you download, this won't have the primary menu installed, and so all you would have to do is just click on it and just add the primary menu from here. But it's not here because it's right there. So you guys get the idea. Okay, so that is how you can change the mobile responsive mode of your website. So we click on publish to save our work, and we can jump back into the dashboard.
Now your website looks great, but there's only one page to it. If you're looking to add more pages to your website, check out this video right here where I show you how to in just 2 easy steps. I'll see you guys there.